Okay, so like I said, my name is Kingjulez. I'm coming to you from Toronto, which is part of the Treaty 13 territories and is stolen lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and Anishinaabe peoples. I am non-binary, I'm trans, I'm a drag performer, as you can see. Whoops, not yet. There we go. I'm neither a queen nor a king, but I love to push those boundaries. And I am finding more and more enjoyment in this clown realm of drag that I've discovered in the last couple of years. There's no gender to a clown. There's just so much fun, right? I get to be silly and goofy and have a good time. And that's a whole part of my art that I love so dearly. I've been doing drag for about 5 years, which feels crazy to say out loud. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. But I only seriously started thinking about it in my ministry within the last couple of years. I started with Queen drag, of course, because that's what everybody knew. I saw some episodes of RuPaul. I was super inspired. And then I engaged with the drag king community in Toronto, and my mind was blown. And so my drag started shifting. And that's how I found my way into my transition. And I've sort of morphed and ebbed and flowed along until where I am now, which is a lot of fun, right? Art is transformative and just a flow. I sit as the co-chair on a council for an organization called Affirm United, Ensemble. We're an organization that partners with the United Church of Canada to provide resources to communities of faith to become affirming and to pursue an active affirming way of engaging with their ministry. That's the bottom right logo you'll see up there. I've been a part of the United Church of Canada my whole life. I've been working towards ministry for quite a long time, and I'm officially a candidate for ministry now, which is very exciting. Yeah, thank you. Long time coming. The United Church is a Protestant Christian denomination, which is similar to the United Church of Christ here in the US. Yes, here's some whoops in the room. Love it. Yeah, and so for me, I discern my call to ministry the same way that I did my transition and the same way that I do my drag. It's a very engaged process every day. So for me, that looks like meditation. It looks like prayer. It looks like a lot of different things. Each and every day, I ask myself what is making me comfortable, right? Like what feels good to me, whether that's how I'm presenting, the way my voice is sounding that day, what are the mannerisms I'm using. I talk with my hands a lot, as you can see, and I listen to my sense of self. That's a really important piece of this all for me. Whenever I get in drag, I look at my inspirations and I just sort of let myself flow with what comes to me. I don't typically have a plan. I don't draw out my looks ahead of time. A lot of people do that, and I respect that. That's not what I do, though. I'm very last minute, go with the flow, see what comes to me kind of person. Yeah. And it all sort of revolves around my connection to where I'm being called to be, who I'm being called to be, and what I'm being called to do. There we go. Okay. I'm going to lead you all now in some meditations from this book called Beyond Worship, which is Meditations on Queer Worship, Liturgy, and Theology, edited by James Admins. And a number of us who are engaged with the Dragon Spirituality Summit have pieces of writing in here, which was just such an honor to be a part of. This meditation is not mine, but I love it, and I've been using it quite a lot. So whether you're at home on your bed in a chair, or whether you're here in the room, I invite you to find yourself a comfy place to land, whatever that means for you and however your body feels. These meditations are an intentional way to drop into our mind, our body, our spirit, to feel ourselves in connection with the power of our environment and with the power of queer and trans community being with one another. So I invite you to hold that and to connect with where you are right now. Being here in this moment, wherever you may find yourself. Bring your attention to the level of sensation in your body below your neck. What can you feel? Is the room warm or cool? Are you experiencing anything positive or negative or neutral related to digestion? Do you feel nervous or sore? Is there any joy or grief coming up for you? At this time, there's nothing to fix. There's just a sense of coming into awareness to feel more and more of what might be silenced when moving through your day-to-day life or moving through travels. For most people, the center of the body is about 2 inches below the belly button. If you place your hand there, can you feel what or where your body is calling you to explore? Can you feel the exchange of energy and sensations within your body? Can you bring your awareness to this center? If your center is feeling alive in another place of your body, feel the freedom to listen, to honor it, and to adjust the reflection from your center. This exercise will call in awareness to bodily limbs that may not be present or difficult from which to access sensation. Many are not used to feeling their body in this way. So hold as much compassion and patience for yourself as possible and use your imagination to adjust to your own personal needs. From here, we'll move in 4 dimensions: length, width, depth, and longing. We begin with length. Move your awareness from the center of your body down into your legs, into your feet, through the floor, dropping in further through the layers of the ground, into the water table, even deeper, connecting with the core of the earth. Allow gravity to have a little more of you, bit by bit by bit. Take a moment to connect with your full depth. Begin to bring your awareness back up through your feet and your legs. Shift your awareness up your spine, through your neck and your head, extending up into the sky. Can you feel your length in all of its entirety? Some link this length to our dignity. Can you feel your dignity in your length and an extension? Take a breath and hold on to that dignity. Unfurl from your center out to your edges, where we're center on the dimension of width. How does it feel to move from the center to the edge, from right to left? Width is about our right to take up space. It's about our connection with our environments and the people around us. How do you feel your connection to others? Can you feel yourself as part of a massive circle? Can you feel yourself as part of a circle of connection between those you share dreams with but have never even met? Your width is about taking up space. Relax and open up in your width. Acknowledge that you have a right to be here. Can you widen yourself even more? Into our depth, we begin moving from back to front, from front to back, sternum to spine. Bring your awareness to your core. Starting from the inside, can you soften your belly, soften your lungs, make more space for you to move around within your depth? It can help to remember that there is a back and a front to your heart, and a back and a front of your belly. To look back, extend back, is to touch where we come from. We can reach our ancestry and our past experiences. What and who is at your back? Who has been a wisdom bearer for you? Who has taught you about feeling good in your body? Who supports you to be here today? Your back knows that. Spend a moment breathing with your back, softening and expanding. You might just feel sensation over narrative, a twinge, a tightening, a release. Just listen to your senses. Call upon gender expansive ancestors and all those who have come before us who inspire your becoming. Can you feel their support and their love at your back? Coming through your body to the front, feel your face, feel your chest, and the front of your toes. The front of us faces what is to come, what is ahead of us, mystery unknown, and the world that we get to shape together. Do you feel something growing here? Feel yourself in this dimension, behind and ahead, holding the flux. Lastly, we'll center on what we long for, what we care about. Bring these longings into your center and allow them to grow. Imagine your body filling up with your dreams and their desires all the way to your skin, to the edges of your body, to your being. Spend a moment centering in your longing, in your desires, in your values. Where are you coming from before this moment of pause? Are there any distractions or anything keeping you from being present? Are you feeling connected with your body or with a message, perhaps? Feeling unsettled? Maybe feeling a jumble of things. All moods, all responses are welcome. There is not a better or a worse mood, a correct or an incorrect mood. There is room for all. Thank yourself for entering this space, for all the information and sensations that arose within you, no matter the clarity of them. Make an intention to come back and visit the feelings that wish to be noticed. Thank you, friends. I hope that helped you feel a little grounded in this space here, in whatever space you're watching from. I find the tensions of ahead, behind, length, and width to be so profound. There we go. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of my my hive mind right now, in how I'm pulling my arts, my ministry, my spirituality, my faith, all of it together in a very short synopsis. So bear with me. If I'm talking too fast, please give me a wave. I get really excited and I start doing that. The first question that I have for you is, what is drag? Right? It's a big question. It's historically been about a lot of things, has stood for a lot of things, and in the present day is more expansive than it ever has been. It's been about heightened performances of gender, right? Or the lack thereof. Drag kings and queens perform masculinity and femininity in exaggerated and performative ways, whatever those words mean, right? We see through time that more and more expressions of drag have been emerging. Drag things, drag queens, aliens, clowns. There's so many even that I can't name, that I don't know about yet. It's an ever expanding, growing art form that people are using to find meaning, that people use to embody themselves, embody things that are important to them. Some words that I think really encompass this art form, right, is meaningful, is creative, is self-expressive. Drag artists also tend to be the ones on the front lines, right? Fighting for rights, leading charges, building houses and homes for others when they have no family. Drag artists are pillars. And drag as an art form is a pillar as well. There we go. Spirituality also is one of those things that's a really big question, right? What is that? It means many different things to all of us. For some of us, our spirituality is a way of expressing, a way of engaging with, a way of enhancing our religious beliefs. That's one representation of it. For some of us, our spirituality is its own distinct experience, right? Separate from anything else. Maybe somebody doesn't have a religion, but they're very spiritual. Again, it means different things to everybody. Spirituality often is concerned with the human spirit, right? Our soul, who we are. How are we connected to each other, to the world, to the universe? How do you find meaning in your life? What do you experience beyond your physical senses? What inspires you? What gives you purpose? What drives you? Each of us probably has different answers to all of those questions. That's the point, right? That's the beauty of such a personalized experience like spirituality. We connect in different ways. We find purpose and meaning in so many different things. Each and every one of those things is powerful and profound in its own magical way. What's in the clown? Well, something that I've been doing a lot of reading about recently is actually Christian clown ministers have been around for decades. I didn't know this. The history of clown ministry is actually quite fascinating. If you can't see some of these pictures, I have Fool of the Kingdom is one of these book titles. We have a couple of clowns reading a Bible. I just think it's so funny, this imagery. Because clown ministry isn't just about the entertainment. Of course, that's part of it, much like part of drag is about entertainment, but it's more than that, right? Clown ministry isn't preaching in a costume, though that I'm sure is part of it. Clowns are enablers, right? They free us from ourselves. In a traditional sense, clowns dare to be bigger than life. There's this warmth, this desire to make people laugh, to make people feel comfortable, to break tension. That's a lot of what clowning is about. To make people feel whole, to give pleasure, to create a sense of camaraderie. Sounds a lot like ministry to me. Clowns are, as I've mentioned, there's no gender to clowns, but typically there's no race to clowns. There's no age to clowns. There's this ambiguity that comes with the character that anybody can create this warmth, this laughter, this joy, and bring it to other people. The one thing is that there's this vulnerability, right, that comes with the character who lets the audience know that the clown is someone that can be trusted. I don't know if you've ever seen a clown engage with a scared child, right? They don't try to further scare the child. Frequently, clowns will then pretend to be afraid of the child, right? So there was like, okay, we're both a little scared. Okay, maybe we can try a little bit. And there's this relationship that's formed where trust is built, where eventually the laughter comes. It's consensual, it's trusting, it's vulnerable. In the sense of clown ministry, there's the symbol of joy, of hope, of love, right? These are all big, in my own experience, big Christian themes, but they're largely religious themes overall, right? Peace, love, caring for each other are all big, important pillars in a lot of our lives. Clowns here refuse to accept limits of what's possible, right? You'll see a clown trying to do something. You're like, they can't do that. Somehow, some way, maybe it's an illusion, maybe it's some kind of trick. They do it anyways. That's the joy of it. That's the push. Clowns are servant figures, right? They relieve tension. If you've ever been to a circus, or a Cirque du Soleil or a traditional circus, they'll often have the clown right before they do something like using a crossbow to shoot an apple, right? They break this tension of fear, of anxiety, of like insane response to something really intense that's going on, to allow everybody to relax a little again, right? To allow everybody to, okay, yeah, we're okay. We're fine. We can be here together. This allows people to obtain a new perspective, right? If you do the crossbow right at the beginning, the whole audience will spend the entire show sitting there like this. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh, that was so intense. That was so, you can't enjoy anything else after that. But if you go through these periods of tension and relief and flow, you gain perspective, you learn things. Whether you think you're learning things or not, you're learning things. The clown minister then gives a little tug at rigid traditions. You know, it's not every day that you'll see somebody preaching from a pulpit dressed like this. There's a pull at these rigid traditions that I love to honor and I love to work within, and also bend them just enough to put them in touch with who I am here and now today, in this year, in this age, in my community. Here we go. Here we go. So drag, as we've talked about it, is this boundary pushing, fantasy creating, community building, soul healing art form. It belongs everywhere, in my opinion. Judith Butler writes from a perspective that gender is socially constructed. If you're unfamiliar with their writing, it rocks. And that the conventional notions of gender and sexuality inherently submit women and non-conforming people to men. We've all heard of the patriarchy. Yes, basically that. So Judith Butler, they also say that these same conventional notions of gender and sexuality are what people use to justify the various phobias that we know very well. They reinvigorate this gender conversation with their ideas that gender is actually made up of what a person says, of what a person does, of all of these things. Ergo, it's a performance that a person is putting on at all times. It could even be said, Judith Butler is saying, that gender is an illusion that one puts on, maybe, perhaps. They're talking about each and every person here, not just drag performers, not just people putting on a costume. Every single person is putting on a performance of who they are and what their gender is. The lines of what's seemingly keeping you boxed in open up in this way of thinking. And we begin to question what our own gender performance might look like. But in their following writings, we can see a quote here saying that drag specifically is the site of ambivalence, right? That reflects the systems of power that we're actively opposing, but we're stuck within, right? We're playing with these lines of gender and what they mean and who we are and how we're performing them. Drag performers use these systems, as we know, use and abuse them frequently with our performances, explicitly to get a point across, right? It's a part of the shtick. Well, the point is to abolish this system of hegemonic gender ideology as it is. That's the whole point of it. While we live and work in these systems, let's just have some fun with it while we're trying to do that. In this space, as people who may or may not be affiliated with a particular organized religion, or who may have a certain spirituality, or how you express yourself, maybe you've read Judith Butler before and maybe you haven't. We can read these things and hear these ideas, and I'm sure there's some similarities here pinging for you. Is drag not passionate about social justice and community and diversity? Do drag artists not put their radical beliefs into solid action? Drag culture in this way is all about celebrating this paradox of unity and diversity, right? Queer culture is nothing but that. Each and every single one of us is our own unique person. We're all so different in so many wild ways, but we still come together in fabulous and meaningful ways to celebrate each other and to care for each other. And we perform that very well. So there are three kinds of performance, using that word like this, performance that you're probably familiar with. The first is fakery, right? You're performing something fake, an inauthentic ruse to present oneself as something you're not. The second one is a way of understanding performance that's probably the most common, right? It's through theater. You're performing something there. The third type of performance that we were talking about with Judith Butler, and in this context that I'm bringing my clownery to you, is the idea that performance is a practice for constituting self and community. If we move to think beyond performing gender, performing drag, what if we're performing everything this way, right? We're performing our spiritualities even. What if every move that we make, how we dress, how we speak, how we build community with one another, all an element of this performance of our spiritual selves in the world? What if we used our art as part of this performance? This character for me, my clown, always aims to uncover and redistribute power towards shared liberation. That's my goal. Gender performativity is just the beginning, right? Just a starting point for thinking bigger. I'm talking about not just using my drag to queer my gender, that's been a fun part, but also using it to queer spirituality, right? A full embodied expression of my spirituality, my trickster, this jester, clown, menace, I call myself, understanding what it means to perform that which is sacred and holy, all comes together. I carry with me the legacy of the drag artists who came before me, the queer activists who fought for my ability to live and exist in this world. Those who embodied that which makes our community all that we are. I carry that. I also carry with me the legends of court jesters who bring news to villages in ways that they can handle and who poke fun at the king and are the only one to be able to do it without getting beheaded. I also carry that with me. I carry with me circus clowns who relieve tension, who tell stories, who make people trust and feel vulnerable. All of this comes together to allow me to fully embody that which connects me to each and every one of you, but also to the earth, to the divine, to the universe, to that which makes me who I am, and this holy mystery that I don't understand. So now my question for you is, where are you now? What came up for you? Do you have any questions? Have you ever thought about it? Yeah.
Can you reflect on Jesus's third way or approach to lots of issues, not being like, oh, here's the answer, but like a question and like their trickster personality there, and maybe make connections between the performance of drag and Jesus's performance as whatever Jesus was doing?
And whatever I'm doing, yeah. That's a really great prompt. I think, you know, as much as we talk about in the Christian tradition, Jesus being fully divine and fully human, there are those pieces, right, of being fully human, of making mistakes, of saying the wrong thing and looking like an ass. We've all done that. We've all put our foot in our mouth, I'm sure. I'm thinking of the story of the Syrophoenician woman. I think it was brought up at dinner last night, where Jesus refers to this woman who's racially different than him and not Jewish, compares her to the dogs that are eating the scraps under the table. And a lot of the reflections that I really appreciate about this story is that he said the wrong thing. And she calls him out on it in that moment. And he says, you know what? You're right. I was wrong. I think that's a really important piece of performing who we are, of engaging with our spirituality, but also with being a human, right? We can't possibly grow and develop and become who we're created to be if we aren't willing to admit when we make a mistake, when we say the wrong thing, when we hurt somebody. It's inevitable. It's a part of the human experience that we'll hurt each other, that we'll put our foot in our mouth. But part of being a clown is putting your foot in your mouth and then being able to laugh about it and do it in a way that's not harmful to other people the next time. And that's what I answered your question.
Think about the traditions that many Christian branches have on Sunday after Easter, Holy Fool or something like that. Are you familiar with that? And just fit it in anything like that?
Holy Humor Sunday, is that? Mhm.
They don't dress up as a clown, but it's that kind of bringing that sense, like the resurrection was so ridiculous and you're so traumatized and exhausted by what's happened that like it's this tradition of telling jokes. And
Yeah.
I've never participated in it, but I wonder if you've heard of that or
My church has done laughter yoga the last couple of years, which is this practice of various, they feel like really silly practices to go through this sequence where your brain can't actually tell the difference if you're fake laughing or real laughing. So if you engage with silliness, with laughter, with things that feel really goofy, your brain will still get those same responses as if you were actually having a great time and laughing hysterically with your friends. And if you're looking around your congregation and going, ha, 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 at everybody, eventually we all end up laughing because it's so silly. But it's really important for people to laugh together, for sure. And something we talked about in my chaplaincy last week was a really important community builder is laughter, right? You build intimacy by laughing with each other. And how you laugh and what you laugh at is different all the time. But laughter is a way that people gain intimacy. And again, it comes back to this tension breaking, vulnerability, trust building piece where if we can laugh together, that's one of these barriers falling down. And yeah, I think in relation to Easter and the resurrection and this whole production that Easter is, it's good to get some of that tension out and get some of that intensity and, like you said, trauma, sort of start to release that.
That's
Yeah. Time.
Yeah.
All right.
We have 5
Well,
minutes.
thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah.
Find me anywhere, ask questions. Yay. All right.